based on the colors it changes, you can match it up and say, okay, let's say it turned red, and that means
All right, action.
I am a veteran of the Army National Guard,
of the United States Navy,
the United States Air Force,
of the U.S. Army,
And I am a veteran of the American War in Vietnam.
and I've been a member of Veterans for Peace
for 2.5 years.
15 years,
Close to 30 years now.
for about a month now.
for over 1 year.
Active member for 20 years.
We as military veterans do hereby affirm our greater responsibility
To serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we will work with others both nationally and internationally
to increase public awareness of the causes and costs of war,
to restrain our government
From intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs
of other nations,
To end the arms race,
to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons,
to seek justice for veterans and victims of war,
to abolish war as an instrument of national policy,
to achieve these goals, members of Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent
All right, action.
I am a veteran of the Army National Guard,
of the United States Navy,
the United States Air Force,
of the U.S. Army,
And I am a veteran of the American War in Vietnam.
and I've been a member of Veterans for Peace
for 2.5 years.
15 years,
Close to 30 years now.
for about a month now.
for over 1 year.
Active member for 20 years.
We as military veterans do hereby affirm our greater responsibility
To serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we will work with others both nationally and internationally
to increase public awareness of the causes and costs of war,
to restrain our government
From intervening overtly and covertly in the internal affairs
of other nations,
To end the arms race,
to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons,
to seek justice for veterans and victims of war,
to abolish war as an instrument of national policy,
To achieve these goals, members of Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent means
and to maintain an organization that is both democratic and open.
with the understanding that all members are trusted to act in the best interests of the group
for the larger purpose of world peace.
red leather, yellow leather.
Let's go slow. Here we go. Ready, get set, action.
We will use our anger and injustice as a positive, non-violent force for change.
We will approach every encounter with fellow members and the public with positivity and mindfulness.
And with the assumption that concerns raised are coming from a positive place.
and present a learning opportunity.
Our attitude,
As conveyed through our words,
Symbols and actions.
Will be one of openness, friendliness,
and respect towards all people we encounter.
all members have an important role to play at Veterans for Peace.
regardless of previous military rank, branch, or combat experience,
We will respect one another as equal parts of the whole.
We will not assault verbally, in person, or online anyone,
To include fellow members and those who oppose or disagree with us.
Even if they assault us.
This does not preclude members' right
To defend themselves
against a physical attack.
In keeping with our commitment to achieving our goals through nonviolent means,
There is an expectation that members will not carry weapons with them.
to Veterans for Peace events,
Or while representing Veterans for Peace.
Regardless of the laws and their location.
We will follow the directions of designated coordinators.
During public actions,
organized on behalf of Veterans for Peace.
We'll use democratic principles within our organization to ensure an open, fair, inclusive, and transparent environment.
We will speak as members of Veterans for Peace.
But not for Veterans for Peace.
unless designated as a spokesperson for Veterans for Peace.
all members are free to speak for themselves or on behalf of the chapter as appropriate.
Sexist,
Racist,
Homophobic,
Ageist,
transphobic,
Gender discriminatory
and all other discriminatory language and actions
are common within the military.
They are not acceptable within Veterans for Peace.
our words and actions will maintain
The political and financial independence of Veterans for Peace.
To achieve the above goals, we will also engage in active listening,
that is fully concentrating on what is being said.
Rather than passively hearing the message of the speaker.
I heed the voice of Elune.
That I've learned, and maybe to save someone's life, but or maybe help them get help or whatever. But that's why I'm here, and yeah, I'm playing the paladin. I love paladins; they're fun.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Haas. I've been an ally here with Games for Peace, so a little over a month, almost 2 months. Recent pickup since this hanging on.
Hi, fix an audio issue on my side. Hi, my name's Sincerely V. I am a member of Veterans for Peace, digital organizer with Veterans for Peace, and a community member of Gamers for Peace. I come here by way of the United States Marine Corps, served from 2004 to 2010, and with tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. Excited to be here, playing some games, talking about this topic. You know, I think I tangentially. I think I'm under the understanding or biased belief that I am only tangentially touching this topic when I think, based off a little bit of the conversation we had beforehand, I think I might be a little bit more smack dab in the middle of it, along with a lot of other people. So, be an interesting conversation. I look to hear about. Looking forward to this conversation. Here's a content warning. Just going to throw it out there that we are talking explicitly about drug use and harm reduction regarding that drug use for both medicinal and whatever other uses. And that's that.
Body from prolonged use. And so it's important to try and mitigate some of these long-term effects. So, but we're gonna do that today while playing Heroes of the Storm.
Exciting. Well, Heroes of the Storm, exciting.
And
Right?
to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Phoenix, is that I think these harm reduction tactics and these steps that reduce it harmful impacts are often overlooked because I feel like here in America, we really just look for what can completely solve our problem. If it can't,
Right.
it's not worth it. When
Right.
really any life saved is a worthwhile adventure.
Yeah. And, I know we'll have like a lot of people, especially around this topic, right? Like they think like, oh, we can't do this because we're enabling people, or we can't like help them. Like they have to just quit or we don't help them at all. Right. But, for the maybe less empathetic people, a lot of these harm reduction approaches that we'll talk about even today, because there's some controversial ones associated with this drug, are actually cost-saving measures as well. So they actually reduce long-term costs of taking care of people due to the long-term effects of methamphetamine. So like, the harm reduction approach is one of the main harms that people encounter with methamphetamine is, of course, like hepatitis and HIV and other bloodborne pathogens that are transmitted between users. And these harm reduction approaches help mitigate a lot of those long-term care needs that people who end up with a bloodborne pathogen would end up needing. So it ends up being a cost-saving measure in the long run to do these types of approaches. So really, really interesting stuff. But let's get in game. We ready to play, and then we can kind of pose some questions as we play.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to say thanks, Party on Goth. And yeah, you're definitely right. There have been multiple studies that confirm that it's cheaper just to fix homelessness than to go through all these anti-homeless measures and let them live terrible lives.
Right. Exactly. I'm going to keep my info up and get this game rolling. All right. So one of the first kind of interesting things is, according to the 2017 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, approximately 1.6 million people reported using meth in the past year. And 774,000 reported using it in the past month. And the average age of new methamphetamine users in 2016 was 23 years old, which is a little bit higher than actually a lot of other drugs. So love to hear people's kind of thoughts on that, especially Passan's, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about that. Yeah, so for context, right, I was, this is another thing I wanted to discuss was, so I legitimately have ADHD. I was diagnosed with it while I was on the military. So like, if you know anything, like military doctors, you're not just gonna be like, hey doc, can I get an Adderall prescription? Like you pretty much have to have it, because they're pretty scrutinous of that. But I went and I got one, and then it was just kind of like, it started out at first like I was driving Uber to make extra money at the time, because we just had a lot of children, and so it wasn't really make sense for my ex-wife to go to work. So I would kind of do that. He would stay back and watch the kids, and I would drive Uber and stuff on the side, and I would just start taking it while I was driving Uber, like, oh, let me break off for one, and just kind of keep me up, right? So that's the first thing, is a lot of people think this is like recreational, and I for some people it is, like, don't get it twisted, it absolutely is, but a lot of people use it, and I think it explains why the 23-year older and up demographic tends to be, like, when people start using it, is because like you're using it to stay up at work, to work long hours, and it makes sense, right? Because a lot of people are working 2-3 jobs just to get by, right? And so it becomes, hey, it's like a not expensive, but a really powerful cup of coffee at that point.
Right.
And it's, yeah, that's what it was for me anyways. And then the pandemic popped off, and I was just using way more than I should have, and This is Adderall at this point, but my point is, after that, I went and got involved with meth because it was just cheaper. Like, street Adderall is expensive. And I was, like, supplementing it, and it was pretty bad, so I went and did that. I started getting into meth, and that's basically what got me on it. So it wasn't me going out and partying or anything. It was just, you know, just bad circumstances, I guess.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's not uncommon from what I read. That a lot of people start using it as like an energy boost. You know, like it is a really powerful stimulant.
Yeah.
And,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I was gonna say, since you said it is a really powerful stimulant, like, it's not only does that stimulate your energy levels, but also your heart rate, your blood pressure, and that's part of what can make it so dangerous with these overdoses, is because that's what it does. It spikes your blood pressure because it creates all that adrenaline, norepinephrine, and all that. And yeah, it, you know, for the same reason it gives you energy, it's also very dangerous. Yep.
Yeah. And so, I think that is something not a lot of people know about meth, is that it is very similar to Adderall, like almost the exact same chemical composition.
Yeah, very much so. It's like, I mean, I know in chemistry, just one little molecule completely changes something, but it's pretty much all it is, right? And it's, but one has the stigma associated with it, while the other one doesn't so much. And first off, I'm not trying to knock anyone if you're prescribed that or whatever the case. I'm not judging anyone, but at the same time, well, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is my ADHD medic," because there are a lot of dummies who think ADHD isn't real, which it absolutely is, and I know that firsthand. But there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna take this Adderall. You know, I was prescribed it by a doctor," and but then they'll look at someone like taking meth or whatever, like they're, they're just calling each other horrible names like junkie and stuff. Like, it's yeah, it's like, why the difference? They're not that much different, you know.
Yeah, and you know, we know that often people start some drug use due to prescription medications that they originally had, and I think that's kind of very similar in this case. Like, it doesn't happen to be an opiate, but it is a medication that people start with, and then, you know, they feel like they need more, and they find it to be cheaper on the street.
Yeah, and also because of ADHD, right? Like, I've it's, again, not a doctor, but I live with it, so it's like one of the I don't know if you call it a side effect or a symptom of it, is your chances of becoming an addict, of you know, suffering from a substance use disorder of whatever it could be, you know, alcohol or meth or, you know, anything. It goes way up, you know. That's based off what I researched and what I know. So it's like, it's kind of interesting how, like, the medication that you can be prescribed for this can create, you know, a just as bad problem in some cases.
Right. Yeah. So another thing that I read, kind of similar to what we're talking about, is like people, you know, starting to use. It says an estimated, almost an estimated 100,000 people aged 12 and older had a methamphetamine use disorder in 2017. And that just, that's a lot. You know, that it's just, and then I like how the statistic, well, I don't like it, but like I find it interesting how the statistic highlights 12 and older.
Oh, yeah, wow.
More fertile.
That is really, really young.
Yeah. It's, I did not, that's not my case, so I can't really speak to that, but man, I can't imagine, like, especially because your body and your brain's still developing so much at that point. Ouch.
But I think that, you know, when they talk about this, like, so that's another thing that maybe people don't know about, is how many different forms meth comes in. Right?
Yeah,
so, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so yeah, and speaking of the different forms it comes in, another thing I want to touch on related to harm reduction is imitation substances, because there's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah.
Right? They got these, and this is just again from my experience, they got these things called research chemicals, right? And I won't go into any specific names or anything, but they basically You just tweak a small section of the molecule to get around the Controlled Substances Act, and you know, so that technically, because it's not the same thing, you know, people sell it. They refer to it sometimes as bath salts. That one was methadone specifically, but yeah, it's just all these little slight tweaks of the model, and you know, people who sell the drugs will market it as like, oh yeah, this is Molly, or this is, you know, meth or whatever, and really it's some shit they bought in bulk from like a random laboratory.
Yeah, because I didn't realize too that ecstasy is in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about like, you know, when methadone use disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
It encompasses all these different forms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, again, you know, it's just the stigmas associated with certain substances, even though they might just be one or two molecules of a difference, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Such as like ecstasy, right? So like, I feel like that definitely doesn't have a stigma.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Not as much. People talk about using that all the time, but it is chemically almost the same.
Yeah, and if you look at the physiological effects, how it makes the body react, in other words, like, does the same thing. Blood pressure goes up, heart rate, etc. Like, it affects you the same way.
Yep. Now, one of the major effects I read of methadone-style drugs is also, like, paranoia.
Uh-huh. Oh,
so
yeah.
That was, like, one of the biggest side effects. And one of the, like, the leading things to, like, be like, okay, like, things are going wrong. One of the main signs of, like, you might be getting towards an overdose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, again, thankfully, I've never overdosed on the substance, and I'm trying to get off of it and all that, but, that's, like, it creeps up on you slowly, but okay, this is where it gets into how you take it, right? Because there's a lot of different ways you can take meth, and how you take it strongly affects your chances of overdose. And I just want to be clear, like, no matter what you do, like, you risk this if you choose to use this particular substance, right? But there's like, if you take it orally, so like it might come in a pill form, or you just like take a powder, and it's called parachuting, where you'll like, you know, put the powder in a toilet paper or something and swallow that. That's kind of like the longest lasting, but the least intense on your body. And then from severity there is like snorting and smoking, you know, though especially smoking is when it gets pretty dangerous, because that's straight into your bloodstream, straight into your lungs. And not only that, but a lot of the meth that's manufactured with chemical impurities and, you know, toxic substances, because they got to ship it, you know. A lot of the meth in the United States, the majority of it comes from the drug cartels in Mexico. So it's like being shipped over international borders, and the ways they ship it in, and like the bottoms of tires and stuff. It's like, there's some nasty stuff in there, right? And so you got to think, if you're, you know, heating up a pipe or whatever and hitting it, and then that's like, you know, like you're not precisely controlling the temperatures like they would in the lab. So at that point, you're inhaling God knows what contaminants. And straight to your blood, from your lungs to your bloodstream. So it's like, it's fast, and I'm not trying to glorify it. I hope everyone knows that. I'm just telling you, like, it's intense. And that's when you start getting into the territory with like hallucinations and overdoses, and then injection use.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what a lot of what I read too about method addiction is, when like it's not as physically addicting as a lot of other drugs, but it becomes this like mental addiction.
Yes.
Like you feel like you need, like, you know, I'm not like you feel like you need it every single day just to function.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say firsthand experience. Yeah, that's half the battle right there. And so the physical symptoms, just in case anyone, you know, I think we can talk about that, right? Physical symptoms of withdrawal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I would say with that is, if I had to put it into words, it feels like someone like takes your brain out of your skull and just puts it in a meat tenderizer. Just you're so foggy and groggy and drained of energy. Like, all you want to do. I think I slept the first time I got off it. Like, I slept for like a week straight. Like, it was bad. But it's not like life threatening or anything. It just feels really bad.
Right. And I know. Go ahead.
With a Party on Goth in chat.
I'm
you
not
were
reading
looking at
chat.
that. And they were talking about fake weed. Is that what's known as spice?
Yeah.
K2?
Yep.
Isn't that K2?
Spice.
Yeah.
K2 spice. It's all I believe the actual chemical is JWH018, I think is what it's called, but they got a million of them.
Yeah, I knew people in high school that had bad times with that too.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's not good.
Yeah, for real. And so, like, you know, it's funny how like we classify these things in all these different categories, but how similar they end up being when you really look at it on paper.
Yeah,
right?
that's been interesting to hear.
Yeah, and they do have, like, you know, as we were saying, ADHD using Adderall, right? That has a very specific and medicinal purpose, and that is very helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm not trying to tell anyone like to get off that if your doctor's telling you to take it and you're following all the instructions.
Right,
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
But when you get into these non-prescribed, non-FDA approved, you have no idea what's in these drugs that you're getting on these streets. That's when it becomes super dangerous. One of the things I was reading today is how, you know, you buy this amount from this person and you buy this amount from this person, but you have no idea what's completely in it. Those two doses, even if they're the same quantity, will hit differently. So we were discussing this before we started. One of the best harm reduction strategies for this drug was, of course, testing it.
Yes, I actually have a perfect resource that I'm gonna link in the chat here in a minute. And then I'll expand more on it.
And then we can start the next game.
Yeah.
That was too easy. That was
Yeah.
I got to up the difficulty because
that was
just like we blew over that.
Let's see. Trying to find the kits here, but anyways, yeah, if I'll go ahead and talk about the kits. So there's they got a million different ones. The ones I've used in the past that I personally know work from this website I ordered, and it's all legal, by the way. It is not illegal to purchase drug testing kits or anything. As far as the government's concerned, it's like sulfuric acid and some other stuff, perfectly legal. So, but what I'm about to link is basically a bunch of different reagents and chemicals, and all you do is if you had some, you take it just has to be like the size of a grain of salt, and just put it on like a ceramic plate or glass or something, something that acid isn't going to melt through. And then you just dab a drop on there and it'll change colors. And here we go. This is found it. But yeah, it'll change colors. And as you'll see here in a second, they have these charts. And it's real simple. All you do is look at the color it changes to and then match it up with the chart. And they have different chemicals and reagents depending on what substance you're trying to test, right? But let's see. There it is. That's the link to the complete set of all 8, but from my experience, if you're going to be using this particular substance in the amphetamine, is you'd want the MECKE, M-E-C-K-E reagent, and the Marquise, M-A-R-Q-U-I-S, Marquise reagent. Those are the 2 you'd want to look for, but you can read more around that website as well if you want to know more about testing for other things, and they have all the instructions there.
Yeah, because I think one of the main dangers now is, of course, like fentanyl being laced within the street drugs. And this is not just a methamphetamine issue. This is all types of street drugs are being laced with fentanyl, and you have no idea. And then you go to use maybe your normal amount, like what might be safe, and it's completely different because it has this extra additive that you had no idea existed. And so testing what you get, because you don't know what's in it.
And like I said, there's still adulterants and things that get thrown in there because of shipping and whatnot. These tests, I don't believe they test for those things. So just understand, like, even if the test says, hey, it's pure, whatever substance, and there's still like nasty chemicals in there just because of the nature of like the product and how it has to be transported. So yeah, now I just want to make clear, it's not 100% safe, but it's like, in my opinion, if you're already to the point where you're like doing this like I am, it's like no one's gonna stop you by like chastising you, like that didn't work out in the 80s or anything. So it's like I just believe, like I said earlier, if you're going to do this, you might as well do it as safely as you can.
Yeah, and we already know that chastising people isn't helpful, and so this actually leads, I think there's a few others. Actually, let me link that in the chat real quick. some other harm reduction strategies that were more like very specific that I don't want to go into a huge amount of detail about, but you can definitely check out some of those strategies at this link. So I had some very specific strategies. There is a strategy that I think would be a great discussion for everybody to participate in. And that is, because I know this has a lot of stigma, is needle exchange programs. So this is like a very popular harm reduction strategy, and research-wise, extremely effective.
Yeah, that's I don't have any firsthand experience with that, but yeah, everything I've read about it too is I mean, it makes sense, right? Like,
yeah, there is a website.
Before we start the next round, I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
But I will share this website while we're waiting for Sindan. There's a organization. It's called the North American Syringe Exchange Network. And they're kind of the overarching body that helps organize a lot of these types of programs. And they're still illegal in a lot of states too. So I think it's only legal in 38 states.
Wow.
I want to say. So a lot of these programs are still illegal, and they are life-saving programs. Because one of the main negative side effects, of course, of any type of needle drug is the bloodborne pathogens that people inadvertently contract. And so this program, NASN is the acronym. They have a map of all the different locations for these needle exchange programs, which is that is life-saving. I didn't even know some existed in the area that I live in, and just having that be in the back of my mind, especially when I work with clients who may be wanting to use in a safer way, having this information is just crucial. But I think I think a majority of people have encountered somebody that might have benefited from a program like this, especially with these statistics of almost 1 million people.
Yeah, I know multiple people who, maybe their life could have been saved from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a huge thing too. But I'm interested in I want to know what you have all heard about the arguments against needle exchange programs. So what have you heard that they do, right? Or that they
I mean, it's the same as every other harm reduction method. Is the main argument against it is that it's enabling, and that we're financing a habit. The same whenever people complain about Narcan being used to save people's lives in the moment, and how that's subsidized by the government, which is one of the few instances where they save lives, actually. And I think it probably comes from a seed of selfishness, but also just feeling like you're not getting what you deserve from your government, and you feel like they're using that money to help these other people that you feel are unworthy of it. But when it comes to saving lives, I don't think anything can really. I mean, I tend to usually turn that around and say, like, well, why don't you want your government to also help you? Or I love seeing the memes. It's like, users can get Narcan for free, but my insulin costs $600. It's like, no one's defending the insulin cost.
Yeah.
It's like, you're so close. Just
you should join us because we want free insulin.
Look at the cube a little at a different degree, and we're almost on the same page.
Yeah. I love commenting on memes like that on Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, that should be free too.
Yeah, it's wild. And then another thing I was thinking about was, okay, say you want to argue it from a selfish kind of aspect. It's like I believe Phoenix was saying earlier about the bloodborne pathogens, right? Those bloodborne pathogens have a way of, even if you've never used drugs, like maybe something happens and you get infected with it by accident. Like that can definitely happen. So like removing these diseases from circulation in the community, to me at least, seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even still, if it's in the worst scenario, you're helping healthcare professionals that are working with these people. You're
Yes.
putting them at less risk.
Right. Exactly.
You had best be ready.
More importantly, are you?
Okay, that's cool. I was reading this skill. I didn't realize like if the more I use my Q. Who is that?
Me?
Is that our teammate? Crondo? Like, what was that?
Crondo?
Like, that giant dragon?
Yeah.
Huh.
I had no idea what that was. Is anybody gonna go mid?
I can't.
I'm just gonna follow Sin.
Right.
I'm still
So
trying to learn the game.
right, yeah, same. So yeah, those needle exchange programs, I just find it hilarious that they have like such a bad stigma.
Yeah,
And
that
I
could be a
think-
controversial thing.
And I think you're right, Haas, is like one of the, we don't want to be funding their, oh shoot, we don't want
Yeah.
to be funding their use, but in a sense, like it ends up being a cost-saving measure, because if we can prevent the contraction of a lot of these like hard, these like debilitating bloodborne pathogens, well then guess what? Like we don't have to pay for any long-term care down the road. A syringe is a lot cheaper than paying for like AIDS medication or HIV medication.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the one way to sell it to the public, if you can't appeal to the morals, is just
Right?
the capitalist mindset.
I know. I use that one all the time with people that are like, I don't want to pay for their stuff. Well, we're gonna pay for something one way or another, and I'd rather take the cheaper option, right? Not to say like that's the way they're thinking. I certainly don't condone that. Like I'm on more of the mortal stance of that. Ah.
Oh wait.
What's that dragon?
What? Yeah. Who is
That's our
Crondo?
friend Crondo. That's our random.
Oh, okay.
How's he a
That's
gigantic?
definitely a random name.
Yeah.
That was insane. So one of the other criticisms I heard about the
Double kill.
these needle exchange programs is often like they become a hub. Like wherever you exchange the needles becomes a hub for dealing. And there's a lot of research that shows that's actually not the case. So I was in Seattle. So I went on vacation to Seattle a couple weeks ago. And I quite literally saw somebody like use a needle. I don't know what substance, but like on the sidewalk. And how these needle exchange programs are helpful in kind of reducing like the visibility of it. Because they provide like resources for people.
Yeah,
No,
like a
not
shelter and it's an enclosed environment. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get into the case of like, that's another topic we'll get to, is like the safe injection sites. So that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But even the needle exchange programs, they tend to like, it doesn't increase drug use, but it centralizes it a bit in a way like it keeps it off like the main streets. Like when I saw this use, it was literally like downtown in like a touristy area. Like it was in one of like the main spots, and it was just like I was actually a little shocked because this is such a high trafficked, high tourist area. Oh shoot, I'm gonna die. I died.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because like my ex-wife was a diabetic, right? So she had to do insulin a lot. And That's another thing is like a lot of people will assume like, oh, you know, this person's a dirty drug user or whatever, and it's like, I mean, obviously I believe drug users should be treated with dignity and respect, but like the stigma is a bleed over into like how others are treated who might not even suffer from that issue.
Yeah. So now that I already mentioned it, though, we could talk a little bit about that. So one of the up-and-coming kind of programs, right? Like that is
Protect the enemy protector and see how much damage its armor can take. Retreat is not weakness.
These safe injection sites. So they are actually there are still no safe injection sites in the United States. But there is two promising ones that have a lot of good research at this point. One's in Australia, and the other is in Canada, in Vancouver. And so what they do is these safe injection sites actually provide a place for people to use in private, where there are medical professionals and resources on staff, so it minimizes, you know, these the risk of overdose. It minimizes the risk of bloodborne pathogens because they're using
Strange. I did not expect
they're
the
using
protector to
equipment
be
that isn't
destroyed
like
that.
contaminated. And since like these safe injection sites have been implemented, the ones that are most well researched, the ones in Canada and Australia, have actually not had any overdoses since they've been in use. They haven't had a single overdose happen. It just
Phoenix,
blows my mind.
By the way, you got to group with the team.
Let us make haste.
Oh man.
Oh, I died.
Rondo.
I died.
It
I have
was,
to group with the
yeah, I
team.
know a lot of people very like. I think the acronym is NIMBY, like not in my backyard. Like, oh, I don't want this. You know, it's a great idea, but I don't want it where I live. And it's like, I don't know. If I lived in an area, I would rather have it so that if someone is going to use drugs in whatever form, that they go to a safe place and it's not like out on the street in front of like my kids or whatever. You know, like I'd rather it be in a place that's safe and people can get treatment if they want it.
Right. So that's one of the other things that these safe injection sites provide is avenues into treatment that a lot of other programs don't. So like even needle exchange programs, they're very quick, right? So like you get your new syringes and then you take off, right? So you don't really stick around to talk with anybody.
Yeah.
And these safe injection sites allow people to build relationships and help move people towards treatment programs.
Yeah, from personal experience anyways, I know that would be super helpful because oftentimes, like, all right, so recovery is something like you got to catch someone when they want to do it. Like, it's not going to work out if they really don't want it. You know, because of the nature of the substances, sometimes, you know, you feel a little uncomfortable or have an overdose, and at that point you're like, oh man, like I need to quit right now, and then boom, you have someone there who's like, okay, like let's get you some treatment. Like that to me seems like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, I don't know, I think that's the right approach, just speaking as someone who uses that and is affected by it. And Leoric is, what is he doing?
Kicking my butt. That's what he's doing.
I can feel my strength returning.
Rondo over here, what's he doing?
So let me get another nice little factoid here. So in the Sydney's location for safe injection, that they said they were significantly more likely to report starting drug treatment in the previous year than non-clients, people who weren't using the safe injection site. It was 38% versus 28%. And that is like, that statistically is a humongous jump.
That's a 50% increase.
Right. And so if we have 50% more people getting into treatment, that sounds like a program that is actually working.
and
Yeah,
combat
I think it's like I said earlier, you know, that's that logic of like get them while they're, you know, get it while it's hot, get people while they're, you know, really committed to it. Because once you're in and you get, I mean, it's hard, but like it's, you know, that anxiety over quitting is gone at that point because you already did it, and then yeah, it works from there. I don't know. I think it's the smartest, one of the smartest ideas I've ever heard.
Goddess, grant me strength.
And one of the main criticisms of these safe injection sites is because it is it's a brick and mortar location. So that's another thing about these like syringe programs is that they are just like vans. You know, that's like just like a mobile vans that people oh shoot. I'm gonna get my butt wet.
Yeah, I was speaking with my friend Hannah, who's a nurse, and she was actually looking into starting up one of these things, and I was like, yeah, I'd definitely help you with that. So it's like, we got in touch with someone from the Food Not Bombs, and I think it was Oklahoma. I forget their name, but it was I was like, yeah, you can operate it out of a van, and I still have a number of questions about it. Like, are we gonna get harassed by law enforcement? Because I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, I was like, yeah, you can set this up out the back of a van if you wanted to, like, if anyone listening to this or whatever wants to think about like ways you can do.
Well, and that's a lot of the main concerns is if you are
it looks like you have a hostile protector on your
if you are like running some of these programs, are the police going to come after you?
Yeah, I guess it probably depends on the laws of wherever you're at.
And the culture of the police, because a lot of it is up to them. So like if you're maybe like if you're using in an area where the police are like the people around you aren't going to get in trouble, you know, then you know these programs might be effective. But in an area where the police are like, anybody here is gonna get in trouble, and you're just gonna have to like, you know, shoot, I'm so involved, I was so concentrating so much. But yeah, anybody here is gonna get in trouble, even if you weren't using. The police kind of have that power. They can dictate that in an arrest. And you have to go through all these court proceedings even if you're not guilty. So it's just like, it's really scary for a lot of people that are trying to implement these very life-saving programs to risk that.
Yeah, I wish I'll have to find a I don't know if is there a guide that like shows the laws state by state, because that would be really handy to have.
Well, and I think that's why they don't exist in the United States yet. Is because the way the laws are currently written really kind of forbids it. And so, but the ones in Vancouver and the one in Sydney have had such great success. So they've actually seen, I think the one in Vancouver actually saw a decrease in crime rates in those areas. Which I thought was really interesting. Because people were using safely, they weren't fighting over resources, and it actually didn't become like a lot of people are concerned it'll become like a drug dealing hub, similar to like the safe injection sites, and that's also not the case. What they found is it did not become this hub, and it actually became an area where people could feel like they were safe, and didn't become this like risky, super scary thing.
I'm impressed.
And yeah, I don't know. All the data is really good about it.
Yeah, but then that also, you got to think, part of the reason there might be political resistance too to this is like prison industrial complex stuff, right? And then it's like, oh, I believe it was when states started legalizing marijuana recreationally last couple years. I believe it was the GEO group, right? So GEO group is one of the largest private prison companies in the United States, and they would said, "Oh, this legalization of marijuana is going to have a negative effect on our dividends because you know, fewer beds is less revenue." So it's like, yeah, you can definitely, there's some dollar signs involved in why this stuff has trouble passing, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's easier for most people to like just condemn people for using instead of actually like helping.
Yeah, and that's part of the stigma, because everyone thinks it'll never happen to me or whatever, but
right,
it can and probably will.
Well, not even you, but a loved one, you know? Like,
yeah.
With
if not you, then a loved one.
Right, with 1.6 million people in the United States using just meth, like, so like this is just methamphetamine. A lot of these programs, like a safe injection site, can be helpful for people using all different sorts of things. And I would dare say there isn't a person that doesn't know somebody that hasn't used. Like everybody knows somebody that has used something, right? I would venture to say that's a pretty safe bet.
I would agree with that.
Rally on my position.
Yeah, I'm moving. Oh, I'm gonna die.
Oh no, I'm gonna kill this thing right here. Unstoppable. Okay, there we go.
Get my butt whooped.
A worthwhile.
Man, that Leoric.
I didn't realize there were other abilities you could get too, like besides your core ones.
Yeah, you can choose between two ults, and the talents can augment your abilities.
Well, I have an extra ability called Catching Fire and Submerge now.
Yeah, some can get even more.
Yeah,
I think that's
we have
game
not
on
got
this
that
one.
robot once.
I now see why Mei was a controversial inclusion to this game.
Yeah.
Why? She's pretty OP.
Yeah, she just whomped right over me. I was like, holy crap.
Oh shoot.
Yes, of course. Meet your end. They've demolished us. Acoustic protector for its limit. Well done.
Thank you, healer.
This is taking forever for me to respawn.
Yeah, the
Before
longer
you
the
die.
game goes.
Oh,
the more you die,
okay.
yeah.
They're attacking the core. Stop them. Let us
Oh, shoot.
rest. No peace.
Oh no. There we go. Yes. What is low?
Our core
There we go.
under attack.
How does he stay just like dead for that long?
Who, Leoric?
Yeah.
Oh, that's his one of his abilities is he just, instead of like just waiting around, he turns into a ghost, and then that way you can kind of position yourself to respawn wherever.
That feels better. Thank you, healer.
Oh, darn it.
They've demolished us.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go to the latrine real quick.
How unfortunate.
Admirable ferocity.
Ah. I can see how this, like, when I first started playing this game, it was like I felt like it was too easy. Now I can see how it can get like competitive.
There's just so much CC on their team, and I'm not good with this hero.
Strength of our pack.
Yeah, we're all dead. We're gonna win. Yeah.
A protector is almost ready. Access its terminal when I bring it online.
Oh well, that happens. Can't win them all.
We will rise from the ashes. MVP.
Yeah. Does anybody have any more other thoughts or?
All right.
You're muted, Sen.
Still can't
At
hear
least
you.
we
Son.
can't hear you.
Oh wow, 2 levels.
Nope, still nothing, Sen. Oh, there we go. Yeah, good
Yes. There we go.
now. Oh, no.
No, it literally couldn't hear you. So if you were,
Yeah.
That sucks. Hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
I heed the voice of Elune.
Mm-hmm.
The States, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. Oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Turn you up on stream so you can keep testing.
Yeah, you were.
I was good.
Say
I was
something.
good
You were
in
good.
stream. Testing.
You're on stream. You're good.
All right.
Huh. I almost said we had a puck, but this isn't Dota.
All right. So Sin, you're gonna have to start your entire rant over.
Hello. Battleground initialization.
Can we not hear Sin again?
No, we can't hear Sin.
Uh-oh. No.
We remain allied through convenience. Do not make it.
Or just gonna push mid. Everybody push mid.
Could. Nope, still nothing Sin.
Ooh, what's that? Get that. Oh, there's a sewage tunnel transport thingy. That's weird.
Oh, cool.
Interesting.
I like how every map has like a little something different. You know?
Yeah, I like the thematics of the maps.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Harder.
Oh, I can hear
I
you
hear you now. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we can.
Oh. Okay. Got it out.
Yep.
At
least I can hear you.
I can.
So be it.
Oh shoot! Screwed that up.
Indulged.
Oh shoot! Nice. Yeah. In those open air markets. Like I can't imagine how beneficial a program like that would be when this is such like a well-known issue within that area. And it becomes a way for like what you're doing is like a lot of these safe injunction sites are a way to actually like if we can't go after the dealer themselves because it's too hard or limited by a different thing, well then we provide resources to their customers, right? Like if we can encourage people to reduce or quit using, then they won't have anybody to sell with.
Actually, I would like to bring up an interesting fact about that. So, it's been my experience anyways, that a lot of, so obviously there's like, big time cartel drug dealers and whatnot, but a lot of drug dealers are actually like drug users themselves, and they just, sell a little bit to maintain their habit,
Right.
So it's like kind of knocking out populations with, getting dealers off the street and helping people get recovery. Like it's a 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm. There's a really good book. They made a movie out of it. It's called A Beautiful Boy. Written by a man named David Sheff. And he actually writes it from the parental perspective of having a child that is using.
Mm-hmm.
And
nuclear silo armed.
It's just really interesting how the parent has to go through all these extra things, all these things themselves. Not even just the user, and it's just how I look back at reading that book and how a safe injection site would have made that whole experience for him, because a lot of them even provide resources for families of people who use. How having that resource would have been that much less traumatic for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's bad. Like just how much like just affects and ruins people's lives when it doesn't need to. Going I see some guys coming through the middle, so I'm gonna go down and take care of them.
Got him.
There we go. Okay. Probius. Who the hell is Probius?
It's the builder for
StarCraft
from Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see pylon now. Okay.
Run.
All warheads
Build pylons and build turrets near them.
Oh, you not need structural pylons.
I like how this incorporates games that you already know. Like the StarCraft and Overwatch and World of Warcraft.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of World of Warcraft, anyone watching this, if you play World of Warcraft, I am part of an awesome, inclusive, LGBT-friendly guild of socialists and leftists. So if you want to get in on retail, they're about to release the major expansion on Tuesday, but looking for an inclusive environment like Gamer's Peace, or you might want to play Warcraft, let me know, and I can get you in your guild. Oh man,
nice.
What game is they from?
ETC's from Warcraft.
Really?
It's a band.
Oh,
He's a Tauren.
Oh yeah, I see Tauren.
He's just a skin.
Okay. Talent available. Yeah. Bouncing shield that stuns right up my alley.
Yep.
Oh, I died. So let's kind of wrap up. Does anybody else have last minute thoughts or experiences or anything that kind of want to share around this topic?
Don't start if you haven't already. That's my advice on this topic.
Yeah, don't start if you haven't already. But
if you have, do it safely.
Right. If you have, do it safely. Right. That's good advice. And again, like we put some of those resources in the chat that have very specific like information about how to use it in a safer way. Because we understand like it's hard to quit culture, and it is hard to it's not even just quitting, it's also being in places in life where you have like the supports and the ability to like there's a lot more to quitting just like willpower not using.
Yep, you gotta restructure your whole life and all about that.
And some people just are not there yet, and that's okay.
Yep. I also want to say whenever wants to talk about this or anything, anyone is welcome to reach out to me on Discord. Anytime I'm on the server, I'd be more than happy to talk with you.
Same here. So you can always reach out to me on the Discord. I have the same username. Drop this.
Oh man, no, they're gonna get me.
Complete. Preparing for next round.
Thank you.
Enemy hero terminated.
Thus to the end.
Nuclear launch detected. Double kill.
Masterful.
Oh dear. That.
Thank you, my friend.
Confirmed. 4 eliminated.
Well done, my ally.
Thanks for the pick-me-up.
Immediately.
There we go.
Oh no. Run away.
Y'all are. I got a bunch of Goliaths coming up through the top.
Oh, nice. Sin.
There we go. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, there we go. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, shoot. Blasted. What did he do?
Select a talent. Elimination complete.
Oh no. Gotta run away and shield a little bit.
Right.
Oh.
No!
Oh.
Destroyed.
What do they got? Ooh. That sounds really good. Basic attacks reduce basic ability cooldowns. I like it.
Masterful.
Select a talent. Warheads.
Oh, okay.
Good to know. I could use some healing.
How come I...
Sure do. Thank you, Sen.
Yes. What is this? Warheads available? One left.
Let's just mention.
Ooh.
Oh, that's what that is.
Warheads.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Good. I'm not in danger. Thank you.
That nuke works. Holy cow.
Goddess take you.
So do we have you can convince now Sin like this is better than League?
It's a lot faster than League. I like the shared levels more than like your independent grinding too. It's much more of a team game.
Thanks for the pick-me-up.
Game is solid. I like it.
Thank you.
Mayhem. You have eliminated a key.
Right. I can't take it.
I got it.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
I'll even inspire you.
Destroyed.
That feels much.
Sonya. There's a nuke. There's a nuke. It looks like. How did Hogger get a nuke? No, it was the enemies.
They're red on the enemies.
A great blessing. I am.
Oh man, I almost got. I'll be right back.
Oh shit.
Oh, watch out.
Elimination complete.
Alright, Phoenix, we're gonna have to have a talk by taking these kills from me.
Sorry.
Opponent made sensation. Untouchable.
Gotta get out of there.
That was 8 kills with no assists, and now 10 kills, 5 assists.
I try.
Yeah. I'm 10-5-0. Oh, that's another nuke. Okay. Rainer's this game's easy though. You just right click.
That's game.
Oh, got it. Nice.
Victory. MVP.
Oh.
Well, that's all right. I think we're ready to wrap up anyway.
Let's see if I can temporarily fix this. Testing. Check.
Yeah,
Can you
try
guys
to
hear
get
me?
that. Oh, we can hear you. Hey Sevdex, if you love it, jump in the Discord. We'll get some games going. I was super excited about this game because I love Overwatch so much.
I don't hear you repeating, Sam. Correctly.
I switched my mic to.
Now you're not talking at all.
My food just arrived, so I'm gonna go grab that. This is perfect timing.
All right. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up stream. But if you haven't joined the Discord, please join the Discord. I'm actually gonna probably play a few more rounds. So if you're in the Discord, I'm gonna jump into a Discord chat and probably play a few more rounds. But we'll be off stream. Yeah. So, I know this was a heavy topic. I know it's hard to listen to. It's hard to talk about, and this is like my day job. And it is this thing that like everybody at some point in their life has made a bad decision, and whether that gets us into more trouble or we just got out of getting out of trouble. And honestly, like drug use is no different. I'm not saying that people are bad for using. Everybody is drawn to it in some way, and for a short time period, it serves that purpose, that utility of that escape. And some people really need that. I know it can kick you in the ass a lot, and I just want people to be safe while they're doing things that are at least making them feel better temporarily. And so please take to heart some of the things that we discussed today. If that is a substance that you're currently using, there are ways to do it safely. There are these programs, there are these resources, look into them. I gave you a map. One of the resources I gave was a map of all these different locations that provide these different services. Please look into that because it is so useful, life-saving, less risky. Some of the biggest risks with this substance use is of course like just the equipment that you're using. If it's not clean, if it's not properly used, you're going to cause so many more problems for yourself. So please consider these resources. And if you ever have any more questions, chime in on stream. I would love to answer some. Pasan is a wealth of knowledge, and I know he's always there to answer questions.
Yes, please,
I've learned
anytime.
so much.
I will be happy to discuss this with anybody.
Yeah. So what do we got going on this week, Sin? Are you able to talk, or is that
still? No,
we can.
I had a dog, and I got attacked by a dog for. Okay. You're just gonna have to deal with the loudness. I'll turn it down for stream. All right. Yay. Love technical issues. All right. So this week we have hold on. Oh, tonight you just watched Mental Health Mondays with your hosts Phoenix and Pasan. Tomorrow we have Rocket League with the Rocket League team led by Coach Little Pistons. Not sure what the topic is. Last week we covered the AUMF, and lo and behold, you can look down. If you notice down in the bottom left, we right now repeal the AUMF. There's a push for this. Go to our website, look for more information at veteransforpeace.org. Wednesday night, D&D is canceled this week due to DM unavailability, but it's all right. We love the Paladin ad. Thursday is the Lemma Circle, where we're going to continue to discuss our upcoming second, because 6 Days in Fallujah is our first, but our second main focused campaign. 2 options are up on the block. One, to have recruiters, military recruiters, have a badge associated with them and their accounts anytime they are streaming or in chats. And the other is about military ads and being able to opt out of military ads on your Twitch stream. That's Thursday's meeting with some other conversation. Friday should be the return of AdSlam and FPS Friday. Look forward for more details in our Discord and Twitter. And then this Sunday, we have a very special community game night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed directly by a community support night. As of right now, it's not going to be streamed, but there is going to be a Zoom community support hangout with some games and some other things for the Veterans for Peace and Gamers for Peace membership that have trouble dealing with the 4th of July, the rampant glorification of the military, and fireworks and other things. People need community and need family during then. And so feel free to join us. Look for more details coming out about that very shortly. But that's everything on this week. Back to you, Phoenix.
Thank you for that recap of this this upcoming week. All right. Haas, you have anything left to add?
No, I'm just being distracted by a cat.
That's cool. Good too. All right. Well, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to her.
Oh, all right. So next week, we're continuing our this is the Straight Dope on Addiction series, and I don't know, Pasan, you had in mind what we were going to talk about next week, didn't you?
I'm sorry, I'm eating my dinner here.
That's
these
right.
Carrots are delicious. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. So there is someone on Twitter that I follow who's a published author. Her name is Tracy Mitchell, and she wrote a book about addiction. She works in public health. I'm gonna see if it'll work out for her schedule and try and get her on, because she also said she'd be willing to talk about opiates, so like heroin and all that. Yeah, if I'm gonna see if we can get that to work. But it depends on her schedule.
Okay, if we can't get her on Monday next week, what would be a good backup? So if we'll keep her for opiates. If we can't get her Monday next week, we'll get her a different Monday if we can.
Ooh, the psychedelics.
Psychedelics. All right, that's a good one. All right, so next week we'll talk. There's a lot of good information in terms of clinical use of psychedelics in the treatment of PTSD, microdosing, all these different things. Like there's a lot of positive research out there for psychedelics. I really don't know a lot of negatives, so I think it's just mostly like avoiding taking too much, but I'm sure there'll be much more educated people about psychedelics. I have never even tried or met or had that conversation with anybody yet. So
Yeah,
that'll be exciting.
I can definitely impart some wisdom, I guess you could say, on how to do that
Awesome.
safely.
I'm looking forward to it then. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll catch you next week, and check out our other streams throughout the week. And if you have not yet, join the Discord.
Peace,
Have
everyone.
a good
Peace.